to see you all. Hello. All right, got the whole team here. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning and welcome to Pickering Nuclear Generating Station. My name is Nicole Butcher and I'm the President and CEO of Ontario Power Generation. Before we get started with today's event, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that the site we're gathered on today is the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nations. OPG respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaty First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and the waters that touch them, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. As a company, OPG remains committed to developing positive and mutually beneficial relationships with Indigenous people and nations as we advance the clean energy projects that will support Ontario's future. For 5 decades, OPG has been proud to call this community home. It's a journey that started 54 years ago when Pickering Nuclear's first 2 units started generating power for the province. Since then, this nuclear workforce has consistently met up to 14% of Ontario's electricity needs. And through its reliable performance, it has proven itself as one of the crown jewels in our generating fleet and one of the best operating nuclear stations in the world. In recent years, our people have continued to redefine what is possible by pushing Pickering to new heights in generation output and overall station performance, including safety performance. It's because of this effort and the sustained excellence that we are in the position we are today, and that we're able to continue to build on Pickering Nuclear's proud legacy. It is indeed a great day for our employees, the community, and the people of Ontario. But it's just the start of even more great things to come for this station. With that, I would like to introduce Ontario's Minister of Energy and Mines, the Honourable Stephen Lecce, to make his announcement.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole. It's a great honor to be with you. Colleagues, we build in this province on time and on budget. This is our government's mission, it is Ontario's record, and it is our legacy to future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be with you today, including with my government colleagues, our hometown champion, Peter Bethenthalvey. Thank you, Peter, for being a strong voice for the people of Pickering. I want to thank our parliamentary assistants, the 2 drivers of change, Rudy, Cuzzetto, David Smith, and of course, Mayor Ash. We are so grateful. And Nicole, thank you for your leadership. Thank you, Rebecca, for the work you do, a voice for the members, the workers, the people who make this happen. And thank you all for joining us today. This is a full house for those that can't see behind the cameras. Today, we are announcing a major jobs plan for the people of Ontario. Premier Ford is greenlighting one of Ontario's largest job-creating projects, a nuclear refurbishment that will create 30,000 good-paying Canadian jobs starting in the year ahead. We're putting people to work while we build for the future, because Ontario needs more power. We need to generate at a high 90% more power that is reliable, affordable, and clean for another generation. Ontario launched an integrated energy plan that really lays the foundation, the 25-year economic roadmap to electrify, to industrialize, and power growth right here at home. But to ensure we deliver energy affordability for our children, we need to plan ahead. And Ontario's nuclear advantage generates long-term advantages for the province and for this country. Ensuring we have a self-reliant, Canadian-made energy system is fundamental to meeting this moment and really defining this moment. And that's why we are here today, to enact a plan to create jobs, generate wide-ranging supply chain contracts, 30,000 people in construction alone, 3,700 permanent jobs over the extension of this 38-year lifespan. And so today, we're proud to announce the final approval, the green light, to refurbish and extend the life of the Pickering Nuclear Generating Station for another 38 years, delivering 2,200 megawatts of emission-free electricity, enough to power 2.2 million homes. We're going to power 2.2 million homes by extending the life. And today I'm also proud to announce that OPG will deliver 90% of all the project spend right here in this province, supporting local businesses and local workers and local communities. This refurbishment is going to secure our leadership in one of the most critical areas of modern healthcare as well, and that is saving lives. And I speak about medical isotope innovation. We are a leader in the world. Under our Premier's leadership and with the strong support of Minister Peter Bethlenfalvy, Ontario is leading the largest expansion of nuclear energy on the continent. It makes up about half of Ontario's electricity supply, delivers reliable and affordable and emissions-free power 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Our nuclear sector is one of Canada's greatest economic success stories using our CANDU technology. With the supply chain consisting of over 80,000 good-paying jobs, engineers, operators, tradespeople, manufacturers. And let me just say, this refurbishment and this life extension at Pickering is strongly supported by some of our key economic stakeholders with us today. Unions, economic institutes, chambers of commerce, you are all on the same side of history, advancing clean energy for our children and future generations. And that's why it is a privilege for us to be with you today, with so much support at a facility that has powered the province, as Nicole said, for 50 continuous years. And it has provided hope and stability and opportunity for families across Durham Region, obviously here in Pickering too. Not long ago, this site was at risk. The former Liberal government planned to shut down the Pickering Nuclear Generating Station, turning their backs on 2,000 workers and their families, putting our electricity system at risk. But our province has a plan to keep the lights on, to keep people working, to keep Ontario strong. And in many ways, we are anchoring Ontario's industrial policy around nuclear and energy expansion. We are doubling down on Canadian technology, on Canadian workers, and on Canada's growing supply chain. 90%, as I mentioned, 90% of the Pickering nuclear refurb will be stamped with Made in Canada. Yeah. And that is so important. And I will repeat for those at the back, here in Ontario, we build on nuclear on time and on budget. In fact, with Unit 1 at Darlington, it was ahead of schedule. And this is the result of world-class project management at OPG, rigorous planning, a highly skilled workforce, and a nuclear supply chain that is truly second to none. And so today I want to conclude with a message of hope. In a divided world with headwinds of uncertainty amassing, Ontario is building big, and we are building for the future. An economic plan to get Ontarians working that drives Canada's self-reliance and energy independence here in Ontario. As I mentioned, and I'm going to conclude with this, we build nuclear on time and on budget. I almost want to say, repeat after me. And that is so important to the next speaker, because the Minister of Finance and the local member of Provincial Parliament for Pickering cares deeply about nuclear, about the workforce, and about you all. He's been a strong voice. As his capacity as MPP, he has been vigorous in ensuring we double down on our nuclear fleet. And so it's an honor to introduce a friend and partner, someone who's been leading the way, and that is Ontario's Minister of Finance, the hardworking MPP for Pickering, Uxbridge, Peter Bethlenfalvy. Thank you all so very much.
Well, good morning. Stephen, when you say on budget, my ears perk up. I love it every time you say that. And I don't know if any of you know this, but today is Minister Lecce's birthday. So, and usually, we're supposed to give a gift to him, but he's giving a gift not only to Pickering and to Durham and Ontario, but all of Canada. So thank you for that wonderful birthday present on your birthday. I just want to acknowledge a number of people who are here as I look around. This doesn't happen alone. This is a massive, massive announcement today. Think about that, 30,000 jobs, 6,700 permanent jobs to operate. And it was just a little while ago we announced the 4 SMRs. Nicole was saying that that's the first time since, I don't know, John Diefenbaker, that a Prime Minister has actually come for an OPG announcement. So things are happening, and they're happening right here in Durham. I want to acknowledge, thank you for coming to Pickering Uxbridge, Rudy Cuzzetto, David Smith. Our great mayor of Pickering, Kevin Ash. Of course, Rebecca, thank you for being here. And Nicole, it's fantastic to have you here again. I just want to say, I'm going to leave somebody out, but as I look around the room, many, many people have worked hard to bring us to this day. Visionary people, hardworking people. I look around to MPP Bill Walker, former MPP Bill Walker. Thank you for being here, been a champion for nuclear and isotopes. Victoria Mancinelli here representing LiUNA, great workers, great partners in building all of Ontario. Thank you for being here. I'm going to miss somebody, but Elaine Pop from Durham College, I'm sure Ontario Tech is here too. There's Stephen Murphy. Thank you. Academia is a core part of what we're doing here in Ontario, right here in Durham. Thank you for being here. And put up your hand if I'm missing somebody. Oh, I'll tell you what, each one of you should put up your hand. How about a big round of applause for the people who actually make this happen? You know, I often get asked, what is the thing that keeps you up at night? I'll tell you, not projects like this. This is really incredible as we are facing headwinds from economic uncertainty, not least of which are tariffs. This has nothing to do with tariffs. This is a made in Canada, made in Ontario leadership. And I want to give an extra special shout out to someone who is providing incredible leadership in the portfolio of energy and mines. Stephen Lecce, your leadership is making a difference, not just for Durham, not just for Ontario, but all of Canada. So thank you, Stephen Lecce. But we're going to have to work together. We're going to have to work. We have a shortage of engineers and scientists and skilled trades, from millwrights to boilermakers to mechanics to machinists to electricians to carpenters, you name it, engineers. We have to continue producing in our universities and our colleges the best people, working with union partners, building the best skilled trades centers, and continue to support our workers, because this is part of what a vision 60 years ago. I mean, some of us weren't around. Stephen, you were definitely not around 60 years ago. I'm not going to reveal your age, but some people were, and it was John Robarts, the Premier of Ontario at the time. Think about the courage and the vision to actually build the first 20 nuclear generating stations, of which Pickering had 8. And I believe 8 were done in Bruce and 4 were done in Darlington, 20. And I think we're refurbishing, this will be 6, 7, and 8, on our path to refurbishing most of the fleet in Ontario, proving to the world that it can be done, that Ontario, that Durham can lead the way. I think that's remarkable. And I think about again, back to the jobs. Mr. Lecce, 30,000 construction jobs at a time when we're being challenged. We got to put everyone to work. You folks are going to be working a long time, by the way. You've got job security, and we can't do it without them. So on behalf of Premier Doug Ford, none of this happens without the vision and the leadership. And I'll tell you something, in 2018, Premier Ford, he wasn't Premier yet, came to Pickering. I was here for the support that he said, if we're elected, we're going to support nuclear. We did it again in 2022. We do it again in 2025. And I can guarantee you that we'll have the nuclear industries back all the way through for the next 50 years. I think this will be another 40 or 50 years that this generating refurbishment will power all of Ontario with clean energy. So on behalf of all of us at the Government of Ontario, all the workers who are building Ontario, all the people that are protecting Ontario, this is what it looks like. Thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to His Worship, the Mayor of Pickering, Kevin Ash. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be here, honored to be here. I want to thank Minister Lecce for this great birthday present. Usually it's the other way around, but this is a truly historic announcement, a defining moment for Pickering, for Ontario, and indeed Canada's energy future. The refurbishment of Units 5 through 8 at Pickering Nuclear will secure clean, reliable, and affordable power for generations to come, while creating thousands of good jobs and fueling prosperity for local businesses, their workers, and their families. And while Pickering is one of Canada's fastest growing cities, this investment extends far beyond the borders. powering more than 2 million homes across Ontario with clean, sustainable energy. And I would be remiss and not to acknowledge that for more than 50 years, Ontario Power Generation has been one of Pickering's strongest corporate partners. The value of OPG's contribution cannot be overstated. From supporting city programs, events, and initiatives to steadfast commitments to local charities and organizations, OPG has strengthened the very fabric of our community. This legacy of partnership and community support underscores the importance that today's announcement makes and the leadership that has made it possible. So ministers, MPPs, on behalf of the City of Pickering and its residents, I want to extend heartfelt thanks to Minister Lecce, the Ontario Government, OPG, for their bold vision and steadfast commitment. Together, we are advancing a made-in-Canada solution that strengthens our resiliency, powers Ontario's growth, and builds a cleaner, stronger, and more prosperous future for all. And with that, I am honored to introduce Rebecca Karen from the Society of United Professionals. Well, welcome, Rebecca.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rebecca Caron, the president at the Society of United Professionals. For more than a decade, our union has championed the life extension at Pickering Nuclear Generating Station. And today we are proud to celebrate a landmark achievement in the refurbishment of the 4 reactors at Pickering. And for me, this moment is deeply personal. I began my career right here at Pickering in the early 2000s. I've worked in radiation protection, in maintenance, and later in inspection and maintenance. And for more than 22 years at OPG, I've had the privilege of working alongside thousands of highly skilled workers in this organization. And over that time, there has nothing that has been more clear to me. We are all profoundly proud to be workers in Ontario's nuclear sector. And it's Ontario's existing CANDU fleet. It's maintained, operated, and supported by unionized workers that has made Canada a global leader in nuclear power. And it's our Made in Canada unionized nuclear supply chain that continues to drive Ontario's economy, to strengthen our energy security, and keep the lights on for millions of families. And what this announcement shows is the confidence that this government has in the work that each and every one of us at OPG has done to demonstrate that Pickering can and will continue to be a vital part of Ontario's energy mix for generations to come. Because this refurbishment is not just an investment in critical infrastructure, it's an investment in people. It protects thousands of good union jobs, including many of my members' jobs, and ensures that the next generation of nuclear scientists, engineers, and skilled tradespeople will have opportunities to build long, rewarding careers right here in Ontario. So on behalf of the Society of United Professionals, thank you to the Minister, and thank you to the Government of Ontario to continuing to invest in Ontario's nuclear future. Thank you.
We will now take questions from the media. Reporters can line up at the microphone, state your name and outlet. And just a reminder, it is one question, one follow-up.
Sure. Give me 1 second, I gotta adjust my camera. Guys, stop staring at me. There I go first. Go ahead.
Doug Wood, Rogers TV. What does this mean for Pickering and for Mayor Kevin Ash? What does it mean for Pickering?
I'm going to turn it over to the local member first, but this is going to help create over 30,000 construction jobs, of which overwhelmingly will be localized in Durham region across the GTHA. It's going to support a supply chain that is localized in Pickering and across Durham region. 90% of the bill is going to stay in this province and country, overwhelmingly supporting companies in Pickering that are building the supply chain for the refurbishment. It's a win for businesses and contractors. It's a win for tens of thousands of workers. It's a win for the tax base because this municipality obviously was able to accrue significant revenue that is reinvested in social infrastructure that matters. It's a win for everyone. But I'll turn it over to Peter because I know this is home for him.
Thank you. You know, I can't help but think on a day like today, my father, who he started his engineering degree back in Slovakia at the time. And World War II kicked him out of that country. And he came to Canada, to Ontario, finished his engineering degree. My grandfather's an engineer, my uncle's an engineer, so I come from an engineering family. And I don't know how I got into finance, but there you go. But when they came to Canada, they had the dream of raising a family, getting an education, and feeling safe and having the opportunity. And I can't help but think that today is another few generations will benefit from what the great things that Canada has to offer, and bring it right down to Pickering. Great people who live in Pickering, who work hard, who want an opportunity, who want to feel safe in the community. We're providing that opportunity on something that really is going to put Canada, we're already an energy power. This is going to help continue the trend to an energy superpower with clean, green energy. It'll take every skilled worker we have in this province, every engineer and every scientist. So for me today, this is as much a big announcement of the future. It also takes me back to a very personal time in my life. So thank you. And I'm over to the mayor if you want to say a few things.
Thank you, Minister. I grew up in Pickering, literally grew up in the shadow of this plant, spent many a time as a youth around this plant. But what it means to our community, this is our largest employer. And it's not lost on me that the former government was going to shut this plant down. And I was knocking on doors about 3.5 years ago running for mayor when former Minister Smith called me and said, Mayor, this is our plan to renew Pickering. And that was a delightful call to get. And here we are 3.5 years later, and we're talking about a $28 billion investment in our community, 30,000 jobs in our community, and a legacy of partnership that will continue for generations to come. So that's what it means to my city, a city I love.
Mr. Lecce, is the Ontario government considering a new nuclear plant on Lake Ontario near Port Hope?
Ontario has announced a plan to build a large-scale net new nuclear generator, yes, in Port Hope, in Wesleyville, an existing OPG site that already has much of the licensing in place. We need those up to 10,000 megawatts because our province is facing a massive demand surge. You see up to, at a high, the ISO suggests a 90% demand forecast. So we need to add multipliers of the cities of Toronto, the equivalent of adding 3-4 cities of Toronto to the grid. So how do we do that? We have to invest in baseload, reliable, affordable, clean power. And that's the beauty of the CANDU fleet that we have. 18 of 19 of these reactors are in this province. And so nuclear technology is critical to keeping our emissions low. It displaces 80 million tons of GHGs. That's 15 million cars off the road this year alone. It creates 80,000 direct jobs. It supports 200 businesses in this province alone in the supply chain. And this project, the refurbishment of Pickering, will add $41 billion to the national economy. So we see this as a natural win to refurbish what we've got. Darlington, Bruce, Pickering, we're adding 4 SMRs, the first in the G7 to do so, just close here at Darlington. And yes, we're looking at net new nuclear power so that we build for the future.
This question is for Mr. Baffoldi from Mark McAllister from City News. The FAO released the quarter report this morning. It says Ontario's GDP declined by 0.6%, the largest since 2008-2009 recession, excluding the COVID-19 pandemic. What is the government going to do to protect the province from any further turn down?
I always thank the FAO for that work. That's old news. That's going back to second quarter calendar. So that ended June 30th. What the FAO report does say in its numbers is they expect the economy to grow in 2025 in Ontario higher than we put in our fall economic statement. We're we're doing everything we can to support and protect Ontario families, businesses, and workers. We've put in $30 billion of supports. Just this quarter, $2 billion of WSIB rebates are flowing into small business, medium-sized businesses, $2 billion. Of course, we've got a lot of other supports that are occurring, but there's also a time to grow Ontario and pivot to the future, as well as protect what we have, and we can do both. And that's why I'm very optimistic about Ontario's prospects. I'll just repeat it again because the numbers are so staggering. 30,000 new construction jobs. 30,000. The SMRs, 18,000. That's 48,000. By the way, these are skilled jobs, they're good paying jobs, and it'll take a while to refurbish and build the SMRs. That doesn't happen overnight. So this is going to provide a lot of continuity and job security. But even then, our plan to build large-scale nuclear that was just addressed by the minister, that's going to continue. And this all adds up to Ontario's clean energy advantage. We've issued $22.5 billion green bonds, which means that we're funding, we're borrowing money to pay for this from people who support green energy. And we've done more issuance of green bonds than all the other provinces and the federal government combined. We are leading, not just in Ontario with reducing emissions, we're financing it through green bonds, and we have a vision for the future. So I'm really excited about today, and I'll just end on this. You know, the world is figuring out that there's no path to net zero without nuclear. So the world, I've traveled around the world, and I got to tell you, everywhere I go, nuclear is part of the conversation. What does that mean? There's a shortage of talent. So we have a talent advantage. So Ontario Tech and Durham College and all the great colleges and universities, our trading partners, our private sector unions, all the unions and the workers in this province, we're going to lock arm, and we are not going to fritter away that advantage. We are going to boldly go, can I say this? Where no one has gone before. Well, I just did.
Good morning, folks. Musa Imran, Global News Durham. First question is for Minister Lecce. Minister, the announcement of refurbishing this plant actually goes back to January of this year, but here we are in November, 11 months later. Could you just kind of specify the significance of this announcement and why we're having a press conference today as opposed to January 23rd, 2025?
So today what we're actually doing is, for the first time, the Government of Ontario is announcing the final budget, and we are actually giving the green light to proceed with construction and the refurbishment, which commences, much of the ramp-up will start in 2026, and it'll really take hold in 2027. 30,000 jobs, as was mentioned, 3,700 over the course of the lifespan, 38 years of the asset. And we're talking about leveraging 90% of this build. So we're talking in the quantum of $26 billion. That's 90% of which will stay in the province and country. So it is a huge achievement. It's the first time Ontario is giving the official funding authority to proceed, and the green light to Ontario Power Generation to start this refurbishment and to do it on time and to do it on budget.
This next question, I guess, is for both ministers. You know, there's a lot of people in this room who've made a career in nuclear, and that's great. More power to you guys. But there's a lot of people outside of this room who this means nothing to them. To the average taxpayer, eggs feel like they're too expensive, milk feels like it's too expensive, bread feels like it's too expensive. There's a lot of moms and dads in this room that have children to care about. Parents like my own who don't have careers in nuclear. To folks who may not understand, why does it matter if a nuclear plant in Pickering, and I live in Whitby or Oshawa, why does it matter if this plant is getting a refurbishment, and how does that impact my ability to live my life or provide for my family or financial stability or my own job?
You know, affordability is so important. And when we came into office in 2018, energy rates were increasing $1,000 a year. That's a retail issue that you and your parents and your family, we all felt the pain. Bad planning, poor-sightedness, short-sighted decisions that really drove costs up. Sole sourcing decisions instead of letting markets dictate price, where we pay 10 times above contract. For everyday families, they want affordable power. They want it to be reliable. We sometimes take for granted just turning the light on. We need a Pickering nuclear generating station to produce power for 2 million families, including yours. We need an opportunity to create jobs in the economy because, we recognize, Ontario and Canada is under attack. A very real tariff war that is creating exposure and vulnerability, and hurting a lot of workers now more than ever. So I think why it matters to an everyday family is it keeps the power on affordably. It creates a ton, tens of thousands of jobs in this province. It uses Canadian technology, Canadian uranium, the Canadian supply chain, and Canadian workers. I think everyone benefits when our strong economy is strong, when we're self-reliant, and we're not dependent on, for example, the Americans. And what's beautiful about this tech, about this generator, but what we're doing here at Pickering is that it's made in Canada for the benefit of all Canadians.
And then last question here. This one, oh, yeah, no, please.
That because you asked about Oshawa and Whitby. You didn't mention Pickering, but that's okay. I will. So, you know, affordability has been on our minds since COVID. And so that's why we acted early to cut the gas tax. Now, some of you may have driven here and not taken public transit. If you drove here, we cut the gas tax and we made it permanent in my budget this year. That's significant money back into people's pockets. But we didn't stop there. We took the tolls off the 412 and the 418 for people who drive from Oshawa or Whitby or Pickering or beyond. Those tolls, the only place in the province where tolls were on roads were right here in Durham. We took the tolls off the 407 East. That's going to put $7,200, thank you, Mayor, because we did the calculation, didn't we? $7,200 back in, for an everyday driver on 407 East, $7,200 back in their pockets. But if you are taking transit, this government moved to do one integrated fare. So if you take Durham Transit from, let's go with Pickering. Pickering, down to the GO, downtown, and take the TTC, you pay one fare. The integrated one fare, that's going to put the daily rider $1,600 back in their pockets. We just announced for young families a break on HST for buying a new home, a first-time buyer of a new home. Add on $1 million. Buying a house for $1 million when you're starting out, it's unfathomable. But we're trying to do our part to get more homes built. And what we announced in the fall economic statement is the 8% HST cut, along with the federal 5%, 13% on $1 million is $130,000. It's not everything, but $130,000 is a lot of money to help people have that dream of home ownership, starting a young family or whatever circumstance they're in. So this government has been focused on affordability early. We continue to be delivering on affordability and the cost of living, and we'll never turn our backs on the people. I just did in my fall economic statement announced that cuts for fees and taxes and other measures has put in just this fiscal year almost $12 billion back into the pockets of the people of Ontario.
One last question for Minister Lecce. I hate to do this to you because this is more of a notes question than it is like an actual journalistic question, but are you able to contextualize like what phase of this project we're in now that we've officially been greenlit? Is this technically phases 1 or is this the end of?
Officially starting it today, construction will ramp up in the year 2026, so people are going to be hired. And then in 2027, it officially starts. We'll have all the 4 units complete by the mid-2030s. This is a quick turnaround, and it demonstrates the professionalism of the OPG workers. They build on time, they build on budget. When we did a similar announcement, when we returned a unit, Unit 1 at Darlington, we did so ahead of schedule and under budget. And I will say there will be another unit we'll be returning to the grid in the days ahead that also will be ahead of schedule and actually under budget. It is an amazing competitive advantage for this province that we can say, which no one else in the world, the French, the Americans, the Brits can say. We have the discipline and the track record to prove it, to build confidence in Canadians. That as we build big, yes, refurbish our existing fleet, extend the life for almost 40 years, and then build new in Port Hope, build new SMRs, potentially build more SMR deployments in Southern Ontario. Whatever we do, our record is clear and our expectation is clear. We're going to build on time, on budget. We're going to leverage the Canadian supply chain. We're going to get people working and create tens of thousands of jobs. That is an achievement that all Canadians can be proud of.
That concludes today's press conference. If we can get speakers to please stay for a photo.